This is kind of the weird way how time works during NHL off-seasons. Because for a brief moment, here, at the end of August, I needed to remind myself, hey, Brendan Gallagher is a Vancouver Canuck. The Montreal Canadiens traded Gallagher to Vancouver earlier this offseason for nothing. Future considerations, no salary retained, no sweetener draft picks or prospects to make Vancouver more enticed to make the deal. This was just a regular old one-for-nothing type of move. Montreal's helping out Gallagher by sending him to a place that he wants to go. Vancouver is helping out Gallagher by giving him an NHL opportunity in 26-27. And Gallagher, unexpectedly, might be helping out the Vancouver Canucks in ways that nobody thought was possible. Let's talk today about how the Brendan Gallagher trade might have been an unexpected gift from Kent Hughes and the Canadiens to Vancouver. And I'm not saying that in a way that's like, oh, Montreal's an idiotic team for making this deal. Oh, they're going to regret this trade. No, I think it's fair to say that no matter how good Brendan Gallagher is, I don't know if anybody in Montreal is going to necessarily say, wow, we really freaked up by making this trade happen. No. Unless Brendan Gallagher goes out there and legitimately scores 30 goals again and gets up to 70, 80 points on the year, bursts through his career highs, and is in the conversation for the Selke or whatever. Unless that happens, which it's not going to at 34 years old for Gally, there's no way Montreal regrets this move. In fact, I think a lot of Canadiens fans are grateful, and the Habs fanbase in general has shown so much love to Brendan Gallagher over the years, and especially this season, because this was the season where Habs fans were watching Gallagher, and then they realized, hey, wait a minute, this guy's just not as good as he once was. And I'm not talking strictly about point production here. You can say what you want about, oh, he had 20 goals last year and he barely had 20 points this year. Okay, that's a pretty big decline. But you look at the way Gallagher moves, you look at the way Gallagher attacked the offensive forecheck, you looked at the way that Gallagher tried to fight for his position in board battles and in front of the net, and you saw a guy who unfortunately was trying to play a style that his body just could not keep up with anymore. We always knew that Gallagher's play was ephemeral. This was never going to last for the long haul. He doesn't play in a way that will allow him to age gracefully into his mid and late 30s. Never mind the fact that he's already 34. Gallagher is 5'9". He plays like he is 6'6". He is aggressive. He is antagonistic. He has all the qualities on the ice that makes him a dog. And sometimes the fight in the dog is bigger than the dog in the fight. And that's always been the case for Gallagher. It's just now, even if that fight is big in the dog, sometimes the dog just isn't well equipped enough to be able to handle that passion and that play. So sending Gallagher over to a team in Vancouver where he will actually be given playing time and he won't be sidelined like he was at the end of the 25-26 season with Montreal, a season where, by the way, they made the Stanley Cup Conference Finals without Gallagher having much of a role on that team. We all understand it was time to move on, and we all understand that Gallagher will be forever respected and revered in Montreal for his contributions to the team throughout the 2010s. But this is why we're making this video here today, because you had former Vancouver Canuck, Toronto Maple Leaf, amongst other teams, defenseman Frank Corrado make an appearance on the Sekeres and Price podcast, and he spoke about the addition of Brendan Gallagher and why this could actually be a bigger and more unexpected win for the Canucks than we would have anticipated. Here's a tweet from Rinky Report that has the quote, Frank Corrado on Sekeres and Price about Brendan Gallagher. I think there's something to be said for the role that he can play on that Vancouver team. How big his voice is, how positive he is. He's a really cheerful guy, a happy guy around the rink, and he brings a lot of positivity to the table in a year that has the potential to be filled with a lot of losses. Having a guy like that, who can kind of steer properly and shape some of the focus and some of the perspective, it's going to be important. And these are things that we've heard about Brendan Gallagher for many years. It's things that I think a lot of Canadiens fans are familiar with. In a way, it feels kind of weird to acknowledge Gallagher as this super positive force in the locker room, just somebody that's able to lead by example, somebody that other teammates want to rally behind. It's weird to think about that, and then also in another file, say to yourself, oh yeah, but remember Brendan Gallagher and PK Subban had some pretty big beef? Like, team-dividing beef back in the day? Anyways, that's a conversation for another day. I think it speaks more to PK than it does to Brendan Gallagher, if I'm gonna be real. But either way, Brendan Gallagher on the Vancouver Canucks is such an important add, not just because of what he is, but what he wants to be for this team. It was already revealed at the end of the season when Montreal was eliminated and everybody was doing their end-of-season press that Gallagher was probably going to be on his way out. And there were conversations in the media, which almost never happens, by the way, which saw Brendan Gallagher directly get asked about coming to Vancouver. He's not from Vancouver, like he wasn't born here. He was born in Edmonton, Alberta, but he lives in Tsawwassen in the off-seasons, and he hangs out in the Vancouver area during the summers, and he participated in Troy Stetcher's Richmond Minoru Arena's charity event years ago, and we know that Gallagher is essentially an adopted Lower Mainlander. And so for him to directly say in the media multiple times, like, yeah, I would actually like to come to Vancouver. He knows that the team finished last in the standings. He knows that they're going to probably finish last or near last again this upcoming year. But at 34 years old, Gallagher, who's already been to Stanley Cup finals in the past, who's already been at the high horse of his career, scoring multiple 30-goal seasons and being a first-line contributor on a pretty good number of Canadiens teams, he's saying, yeah, maybe I'm not good enough, per se, to help the Montreal Canadiens in 26-27, but even if my skill isn't deployable enough for a top-tier NHL team, my leadership, my vibes, my presence, I want to use this to help another team, the team that I am closest to in the offseason, the Vancouver Canucks. Not because I'm going to help them win the Stanley Cup next year, but because I think they need this guidance. And for Gallagher to display such a desire to want to come in here, it's a great thing. You have Gallagher, you have Luke Schenn, who both displayed a ton of passion coming to the Vancouver Canucks. Schenn decided to sign with Vancouver. Gallagher, he had himself trade protection on his deal. So really, there was a way for him to get sent elsewhere, but, you know, it's not like Kent Hughes was going to be able to unload that contract for really anything at all. Never mind the fact that other NHL teams probably wouldn't want to take on a $6.5 million AAV winger that at best is probably good for middle to bottom six play, and who definitely is not as effective as he once was. I say that. Watch Brendan Gallagher go out there and get another 20-goal season and revive his career to 50 points. That'd be awesome. If he did that, he would be a genuine trade deadline rental, and he would go to, like, I don't know, Montreal or whatever. Maybe they get him back, and the Habs are able to send over some actual draft capital for Vancouver. But even if the Canucks are not able to get any substantiated value with assets from Brendan Gallagher's presence on this team, the guidance, the rallying, the support that he can provide for the younger players in Vancouver, that is also worth acquiring. So, Frank Corrado, I think he has a point here. This might have been an unexpectedly good trade for the Vancouver Canucks. The acquisition of Brendan Gallagher. Is this an unexpected gem? Did Kent Hughes set Ryan Johnson up for some pretty good things this upcoming year? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.